So anyone unfamiliar with Chibis, can you kind of explain like what kind of game it is? Is it like a tile game or?
Oh, sure. So this is actually a multifaceted cross-platform, cross-blockchain game, and the type of game is it's a JRPG at its core, which is a Japanese role-playing game, meaning that you gain stats, you battle monsters, you gain items, and you craft stuff, and you get better and stronger, and so on and so forth. It's also an MMO, which means massive multiplayer online game, meaning that you're going to be interacting with other players to accomplish your goals. You cannot accomplish everything in the game on your own; it's impossible. Certain enemies, certain encounters, and certain activities require a group approach. There's other activities that are a solo approach where you can do it on your own, and we will make sure that everybody has an experience that they can enjoy by themselves and as a group. Now, it's also a strategy game. So the world, for example, the world map will be a tile set, and it will take you at least 1 hour to move from one tile to another. So if you're on, say, a grassy plains and you want to move to another grassy plains, that will take you 1 hour. If you're on a grassy plains and you want to move on to a mountain square, that might take you 8 hours before that movement actually happens, and your unit will be stuck, moving from that to the next for those 8 hours. Now, while you're standing on a tile, you can explore that tile, and we will zoom into the tile, and there will be about 50 to 60 tiles that are generated when you do that explore mode, and you'll be able to go from tile to tile within like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and see what's there. It might be little villages that have a side quest. It might be a monster. It might be a cave. It might be a neutral encounter. You never know what it's going to be. Each tile will have 50 to 60 unique themes. Some of them might just be empty. You might just have to move through them. But there's a lot of different strategies and skills. Now, the Chibis will also have something called Chibi headquarters. Chibi headquarters will also manage a tower defense game within the game as well. So you're going to have JRPG, MMO, tile strategy, and tower defense all in one game.
What would you say makes? What would you say is unique to Chibis, and what do you think is something that is sort of different? I guess that differentiates Chibis from any other game on Wax that you play.
Oh, sure. I mean, Wax doesn't really have much out there just yet, but most blockchain games right now are trading card games, and this one gives you an MMO ability. And there are some MMOs that are out there, especially in Engine. Uh, but ours is a bit slower. It's strategic. Whereas a lot of people love Diablo-like games where it's go 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 and beat them up and beat this up and beat that up. You're still getting some of your combat feel in there, but it's more about strategy. It's about how you sit in your roster, how you coordinate your inventory, how you plan and plot your teams and their trajectories on the map, because the map's going to have well over 3,000 tiles. So it can take up to about 10 days of real time just across the map to get to the fiefdoms. And that's a major accomplishment, because as you go further away from Chibiville, the more dangerous it gets. But what really sets the game aside is the strategy. I have 20 plus years of game development under my belt, and 30 to 40 years of gaming experience, and I absolutely love strategy games. So there's a lot of abandoned concepts that never made it into modern games. The closest thing that you'll probably find is XCOM, and even XCOM doesn't do justice to the original XCOM games. So this game's going to have a lot of concepts and a lot of game features that have, either I've come up with, or they've been inspired by games that have, been out of the loop for 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. And other games, such as like Warcraft and games that came right before Warcraft, a lot of the aspects of strategy, thought process are gone because people want instant gratification. This is not an instant gratification game. This is a thinking person's game. You need to plan your teams. You need to plan your gear. You need to coordinate with your guild members, and just make a plan. You really need a plan to get things done. If you go out and travel for 10 days on the map without a plan, and you get to your goal, and all of a sudden you're wiped out, you just wasted 10 days of time. So you really need to think it out and talk to people. And that's something that's, people still do that in other games, but it's a lost art. There's a lot of just, it's all about, the games in today's genres are all about the graphics, all about the instant gratification. And here we're on the marshmallow effect. It's like, what am I trading up now for 10 days from now, 15 days from now? What type of excitement, what type of accomplishment do I feel when I accomplish a goal? That's what it's really about, is having that feeling that, yeah, I actually, pulled off a plan and accomplished my goal. That's the ultimate goal of Chibis, is to have that feeling of, hey, I did something right. And to have that stand out. So we added achievements, and this is something I've used in previous years. in different ways, but achievements will list the global first person to accomplish that. So say we have a world boss, XXX monster, and the first person or the first guild as a group, if you go as a group, that takes it down, your name forever and ever gets put on that leaderboard as the first person or first guild that took that achievement. So and there's
Wow.
gonna be dozens, yeah, or hundreds of achievements to do. And there's a lot of little special rewards. So obviously the first person will get the first mint and it'll be like a special mint and stuff like that because I know wax people love collections. So there's a lot of different little features and little things that people may not know they're looking for in a game, but once they experience it, they're gonna be like, "Wow, that's amazing! Why don't people do this more often?" So that's the
Right.
kind of stuff I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's incredible. Honestly, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Like when it comes to games, honestly, a lot of the games nowadays they're more focused on instant gratification. Not a lot of games that make you really think. Not a lot of games because I remember playing games when I was little where I'd have to literally like
Yeah,
think days. Like I'd have to turn it off and be like, all right, I gotta go do something. And then I'd finally figure it out. Nowadays, it's more instant gratification. I feel like people's attention span has gone down. With games like that though, it's I guess you could kind of compare it to prospectors a little bit. But one of the things that I realized when I played prospectors is that it was a similar type of feel. Nothing could be done overnight. It took a while. You had to invest time in the game and stuff. But I think for a lot of people that lost their interest. You think achievements is going to be the main thing that's going to be, I guess, like the secret sauce to keeping
no,
people interested? No, not
no,
really.
definitely no. I mean, it's a wonderful experience, but I would say that's a side boost to a person's well-being and social well-being in the game, but the real experience is going to be in the guild approaches on the mega bosses, which are the end game season one bosses. This is going to have a few mechanics that I'm not sure may have never been seen in any other game, but we're also going to have some fun story elements, and we're going to have some third wall, fourth wall type of events and activities that I don't want to give away here just yet. I want people to experience it in the game, but there's some really cool stuff coming up. That I think will be more of the main focus. I'm also keeping to the kawaii culture, so we're kind of keeping it family friendly and family safe. So there's a lot of cuteness, and we're going to do a whole storyline about how using archaic weapons actually fuels entropy. So the Chibis are fighting against entropy to take the fiefdoms back, and they're going to discover that I don't want to give any spoilers, but they're going to discover that the base weapons, the medieval Dark Ages weapons that they're using is actually giving power, and they have to discover something new to do in the game, which will also be new mechanics that have not been announced to overcome entropy and their followers. So that will be fun.
So you mentioned you don't want to give all these things away yet. You guys are in the alpha, is that correct?
That's correct.
And speaking of rewards, which we talked about a little while ago, do you plan on utilizing the wax token at all, or do you have your own tokenomics?
We have our own tokenomics. I am, since I'm new to Wax, I've only been on Wax for about a month. I will consider how we can incorporate Wax into the game, or actually, but at the very least, all the pre-release items, packs, whatever will be on Atomic Hub, obviously, so you'll be able to acquire them with Wax there. But I don't know how I would use Wax in the game just yet. There's possibilities. But we have our own stuff. So we have like Chibi Wax. We're gonna have chibs. We're gonna have certain silver coins, hype coins. There's a lot of different economies within the game itself. I would say we're going to have almost within a year, we'll have up to about 30 different currencies being used in the game, whether it's off chain or on chain type of currency. So, but Wax, I can consider how I can incorporate that too.
It's good to hear.
Is how long has it been a thing, and what inspired you to create Chibis?
Yeah, sure. We've been putting this together for about a year now. We made the decision to start doing it last September, and then we started officially organizing it in February, March. What inspired it is that I don't know how much you guys know me, but I am an Ethereum developer for the last 3 years. We released the first functional game on Ethereum, and we also had the first functional bridge for cross interoperability from other games to our game and vice versa. So, with that being said, we had a very successful team and we had a lot of money. So, we had invested in a bunch of projects and games and other things that were just happening on Ethereum to help build the space. And one of the projects that we worked on was a game that was built around Chibis. Unfortunately, we gave them about $60,000, and some other investors gave them a few thousand as well, and they exit scammed us, and they exit scammed all the players. There was about 3,000 players. So that game shut down after about 6 months, and you can still see the assets that are on OpenSea, even though they're pretty much blacklisted at this point. One of those developers decided to come back around a few months later and try to make a second version of the game and scammed a bunch of people. And he still has like one or two players that still pay him money to play his elementary game. So whatever, it's really weird. Anyway, he's a real weird dude and whacked out. And a lot of people warned me about getting involved with him, but I tried to help him out. I tried to build his community for him, and he took advantage of that. So the community said to me, "Hey, why don't you, because I'm already an established developer crypto. Um, so they said, hey, why don't you help us make a real Chibi game?" I'm like, okay, and that's what we started doing. Last September, we started talking about it, and by the time coronavirus hit, we started making Chibis, which is Chibis Global. Chibis Global was originally designed to go on Ethereum. We were going to be a full blown engine game, but gas fees hit. So at the same time the gas fees hit, I actually had discovered the Wax blockchain was back up and running somewhere else, even though it's been around for a long time. I didn't know that they actually restructured on EOS. So I came over, took a look around, and they asked me to consider bringing Chibis over, and I did. I considered it. I ran it past the team, and based on the transaction speed and the lack of fees, we decided that we will actually launch Chibis Global on Wax first, and then on Ethereum. We're going to watch and see what's going to go on with Ethereum and see how the gas fees go. It doesn't make sense for a game to be paying $20 per transaction for a game.
Right.
So it may very well be possible that we will not be on Ethereum. Did you want to say something? Sorry.
No, I was just letting you explain. So, what is a chibi? Like, what is a chibi? Was that named after a philosopher?
No, no. The philosopher is a fun thing that we thought of to kind of engage the community, but achibi has actually been a word that's been in the Japanese culture for about 400 years and has been promoted for the last 30 to 40 years in the Kaiwai culture. It stands for a very short person or a very disfigured proportional animation. So in our case, we are the second version, the disproportional, where it has large heads and small bodies, and it's cute, being Kaiwai culture. You guys can definitely check out more information on that on the Medium article. The first launch Medium article goes really in depth on what Chibi is and the history of the word and all that type of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually skimmed through that. I'll definitely leave a link to that in the description on this YouTube
Cool.
video.
Yeah. Am I going too fast for you guys?
No, this is fine.
So I speak really fast.
No, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. So what can you talk about any of the benefits so far of building on the Wax network? You said you were an Ethereum developer. Can you talk about anything that you've experienced on Wax that made your life easier while building Chibis?
Well, sure. We were originally going to go with simple assets, but obviously we have atomic assets now. So building on atomic assets, along with Jonah, Jonah was also a similar type of developer. He was a Solidity developer, just like me on Ethereum, and he decided to come over to Wax, and he started atomic assets with Fabian and the rest of the guys, and has the same skills as I do. So when I log into atomic assets and I go to set up this and I go to set up that, it just makes perfect sense, and that's because Jonah and friends all already came from what I was part of and what I am part of and made it better. So atomic assets is really where it's at right now on Wax. Their ability to just mint without cost and just use CPU and RAM and all that type of stuff, it just blows away the other blockchains, and that's what Flow's trying to do on Ethereum. Flow is the people from CryptoKitties, and they made their own sidechain called Flow, and very similar to what's going on with Wax, but they don't have the community and they don't have the history that Wax has. Um, so they're a little behind, but they're also a little ahead in some ways. So we'll probably be on Flow as well as Wax, but I absolutely love atomic assets. Just writing the contracts, doing the transactions, minting. The fact that I can mint, say a template, and then just have the packs pull straight from the template blows any other blockchain away. Anything that has to do with gaming should absolutely be using this. Even artists, if they wanted to give away um, mints of their art, they could do packs of art and sell packs of art, and people would love that. But for gaming, especially like trade card games, anything that uses packs, Chibi is going to use packs just because it's very traditional and fun to open up your pack and see what's inside. would really benefit from being on Wax and being in Atomic Assets and having that pack opening animation, but also having the back end of it too. I do. So I can't say for sure yes or no to that question. However, what I can say is that each HQ ore is extremely rare, and will likely imbue the element of that ore into whatever it's crafted. So if you take a cloud ore and you imbue it into a sword, that sword will most likely have an air element. So it will deal more damage to enemies that are weak to air, and it will deal less damage to enemies that are strong against air, for example.
Interesting. How many elements really play into this game? Is it
So there's five core elements: earth, air, fire, water, and metal. But there's additional elements that have no limitation right now. So, for example, we just released Father Time, and his element is cosmic. Very few things will be affected by cosmic, but in very specific situations, it will be useful. So there is no limit to the elements, but the five main core ones that you'll encounter most often are earth, air, fire, water, and metal. So the basic elements that we're used to, and then Japanese also use metal as an element. So we decided to incorporate that too because it's a little bit of fun.
that's sweet? That's awesome. Um, have you? Okay, so I was reading a little bit about another game being built on Wax, Huddle God. They have like a unique token that you use to sort of play the game. It gives it sort of an arcade feel. You mentioned there's going to be a lot of in-game currencies. Is that something that you would consider incorporating, some sort of pay to play, or do you feel like that
Well,
hurts overall?
yeah,
Uh,
I oppose the pay to play model. I prefer a proof of play token, economics type of model, so you get while you play. We are going to be a free to play game. The game is completely playable and achievable without spending a dime. So that's intended and will always be part of our model, and that's what we did on Ethereum. We were very well known for that. As far as HODL, I don't remember the name of it. I can't really speak to their models, but I believe that their game style is completely different than our game style, so it kind of separates what uh, methodology that they might have. But I can say that we do not go for the pay to win model or pay to play model. We prefer a free to play game that has a proof of play token, which is what we will have. Most likely Chibi Wax or something similar to that will be used. Now we will have fun arcade type of things like, for example, our hype coins, which you get from either special events, promotions, or from our hype squad. They have different values and levels. So there's the platinum coin, which is only one per year. There's the gold coins, which are given out mostly by the Hype Squad. There are in-house promoters or community promoters that we've decided to support. And then there's silver hype coins, and then there's bronze hype coins. And those coins will be able to be entered into certain vendors so they can get vanity items. They won't be competitive, so there won't be any useful items that they could acquire that would actually give them an advantage over other people that are not engaging with the media. So with that being said, you'll be able to get pets, you'll be able to get skins, you'll be able to get unique colorings, glowing eyes, all that type of fun stuff that we love. Will come from that type of vendor. So we will have that. But for the game itself, it's going to be free to play, and we have in the past, and we're going to do it again with this game. Investors that help us reduce costs. So for each month, it might cost us with 3,000 or 4,000 players. It might cost $3,000 or $4,000 for a server fee. So, traditionally, if you're bootstrapping a game, you need to determine where that money is going to come from, and that's why you have to have a pay-to-play model. Because if you don't have an investor covering your server costs, or if you haven't done any funding rounds, you got to figure out, hey, how am I going to keep the servers alive for these people to play? That's a big question. So we have the possibility of an investor. We have like three investors that have already approached us just for this subject, and to the tune of about $500,000 a year. And that will help us keep the servers up, push certain types of data out, because you have the cost of the server to keep it up, but then you also have the cost of the data that's being sent to the client. So if you have 4,000 people downloading 1 megabyte, it costs this much. But if you have 4,000 people downloading 1 gigabyte, you're going to have a lot more of a cost than you like to think, and that can cost up to 20,000 a month on average. So keeping a game up and running can be quite expensive, and it determines by the graphics. So the more graphics you have that you send to your client, the more expensive it is for the developer per month. And a lot of people don't know that, so it's not spoken about, and it should be. But anyway, with that being said, one of our models, if we don't have an investor, for example, would be subscription services. So people can play, and then they can pay an extra $10 a month in crypto for some extra, features or funds in the subscription model, which would help cover it. Because if say 3,000 people pay $10 a month, that's $30,000, and that covers the server cost. So regardless of whether we have a sponsor or we have bootstrap funds, we'll make sure that server costs are covered. We also do pack sales, and the funds from pack sales will also help with that as well. But it's a question now. A lot of developers that jump in and say, "Hey, I'm making a game," and then 2 weeks later, I got a game. They're amateurs. It's great. You got a game. That's awesome. How you gonna afford it in 6 months from now? And that's why a lot of games exit scam, because they don't know this. They don't realize that their fees are going to be astronomical compared to what they thought it was going to be, because they didn't take networking into consideration. So we have all that, we have all that covered, so to say. So I hope other games are also successful, but they also need to take those things into consideration and not just launch a game. They need to know what is consistent for a game to stay alive for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
On Ethereum, it was a battle for us. We were the only game to survive through 2017 exit scams. We were the only ones that didn't exit scam. And through 2018, with the crash of the market, most of the games, there was about 5 or 6 games that survived and stuck around, including us, and everybody else exit scam because they had to. They couldn't afford it. So making games in the crypto space is not as easy as people might realize. So funding is a huge avenue. So if we can do stuff like pack sales, subscriptions, and investors, we have a very good chance of surviving. So I hope that answers that question extensively.
Yeah, that was a very good answer.
Yeah, very informative, actually. So one other question I did have is, obviously I get it from, okay, so what part of this game would you say benefits largely from decentralization?
Decentralization. That's a very good
I know
question,
that's
of course.
tough, everybody has their own view of
Sure.
what decentralization is, but for you guys.
Most importantly, it's the NFTs. It's the chibis. It's the gear. It's the items. It's player-owned assets. So one of the things I love about it, and this is what we're doing on Ethereum right now, is that Ethereum, and I'll just give you an example, but this is the same for chibis. My other game is Ethereum, and Ethereum lasted 3 years, like I said, and the founder passed away, and we had to close the game down temporarily. Now we're going to release Ethereum 2.0, which is still the same game, but it's on a different platform. It's upgraded graphics and upgraded content. Now all those people who played now imagine this in the fiat environment. Final Fantasy, I don't know, 7, and then Final Fantasy 8. All your characters, all your gear, all your units, all your items can't carry over from Final Fantasy 7 to Final Fantasy 8.
Right.
All right. Now with decentralization, that's not a thing. All these assets that we're issuing are NFTs, and all these things can be ported to a new version. So say 10 years from now, or maybe even 5 years from now, there's some amazing technology on the net, and we decide to make Chibi's Global into Chibi's Global 2. You can port all your, items and creations and whatever it is that you've earned over the years into your next game. Also, if a game exit scams and you find another game that you like, you can talk with that dev and he can say, hey, yeah, bring your assets over from that game to this game. And that's what we're doing. Chibi's Global is we're partnered up with all the TV players that were exit scammed on Ethereum, and we are working with Wax and the Wax Ethereum bridge to bring all the old Chibi assets from all the old failed Chibi games into this game. So all those people that invested all that money that got scammed now have a use for their previously pretty much blacklisted or useless assets. So that's huge.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So thanks. I could probably talk on that for days, but I'm sure you guys have more questions.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not very familiar with the Wax Ethereum bridge. How long has that been a thing?
The Wax Ethereum bridge has been under development for about 2 months now, and they just moved 30 million Wax into the bridge this week. So that indicates that it's ready to go, and it will be launched publicly very, very soon. I was hoping it would be after my pack sales, but it may very well happen before the pack sales because we had to delay a couple weeks. So, but it's there. So people are going to be able to move their stuff from Ethereum to Wax and not pay any more transfer fees, and then transfer from Wax back to Ethereum. It's huge. It's the biggest thing that's probably going to hit crypto NFTs since it's been launched. I can't wait. But in the game, we plan on having not just Wax and not just Ethereum, but we're going to have Tron, we're going to have Steam, we're going to have engine, we're going to have hive, and we're going to have flow. So you'll be able to get items in the game that drop off chain, and then it's up to you as a player to determine which chain you want to mint those items onto. So if you know there's a heavy mining guild on Tron, for example, you can mint a whole bunch of ore onto the Tron market and sell it, and you know it's going to sell. Same thing is, you know, if Wax has a whole huge Chibi community, and you know that your Chibis are valued more on Wax than they are on Ethereum, put your guys up on Wax. Now, another thing that you can also do, if you have a friend that only uses Tron, but he really wants this exclusive Chibi from, say, Wax, you can off-chain that Chibi from Wax and then mint it into Tron and give it to your friend. So that's huge too.
And the future is going to be wild.
Absolutely. Interoperability.
Interoperability is the number one feature for sure.
I think we're kind of on a tight schedule here, but before we wrap this up, when can we expect the beta or the final version?
The final version is a long time from now, but beta, I'm expecting beta around the first week of October based on how alpha is going right now. So we're looking at, I believe, an October 5th date for closed beta to start, which means that alpha will get wiped, and we'll end up having pack sales and the beta Chibi sale around that time as well. And we just determined last night that we're going to have a founders bundle pre-sale to the pack sales. This was requested by the community, and it's going to have 4 packs, 2 medium packs, so 4 small packs, 2 medium packs, and 1 large pack, and a unique Chibi as a package deal maybe a week before the pack sales go live for community members. So we'll get more details out as we get closer, and I'll let you guys know, but that's exciting, and beta is exciting. So that would be closed beta, so you need a closed beta token to get into that, but beta will have gameplay, so you get to learn the game, how it works, etc., and see it change as we change things, because we're going to watch how people play and see what works and what doesn't.
Right. Alrighty.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to the beta. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Yeah. Always, anytime. Reach out to me if you guys have any questions, thoughts, or want me back on. Thanks.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Too.
You too.